I seem to be getting a few requests from people online stating that they don't know how to get around with the user interface for Unity, Gnome, and it's funny and it's ironic, but even Zorin OS, they don't know how to use certain features of the interface to get things to work. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it in a 3-part series here on Tux Tech TV. Okay, for starters, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna start with a Gnome interface because this is my default interface that I use. As you can see here, the panel down below at the bottom, that's kind of like a Mac-like setup. That is not how Gnome looks as a default. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to go into the settings. Where's it? Extensions, and dash to dock is an extension that you could install, and after you install it, you could come to these settings right here. This little gear is the actual settings for the extension, and place it back on the left. And also, let me see, what is it for behavior? Yada 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 yada. As far as behavior, I forget which ones. Okay, I can't remember which one it is. But oh, okay. The intelligent hide. Where is my head right now? I apologize for the long pause, but intelligent hide is actually active. What this does is it keeps the panel on the screen. Okay, so if you turn that off, what happens is that the panel will actually go away, and when it goes away, when you actually press the super key or the Windows key, it will actively place all of your open windows on the screen, and you could individually close them out. So if you actually have multiple windows open, like I could show you here as an example, you could close it out. And when you close it out, well, there you go. And you hit your Windows key and it goes away. This is supposed to actively just like disappear because I disabled the intelligent hide, but it's not going to go away because I actually need to restart the machine so that it can. But due to the fact that it's a tutorial and I want to keep it going, you just have to trust my word on it. So I close this out, and that what I'm using right here for the tweaks, as you can see here on the left, for the tweaks for Ubuntu Gnome, it's actually a defaulted application. So when you actually do the general install of Ubuntu Gnome, it should be at the bottom of your listing here on the right. So you have these circles here is like a quick flick to a certain category with your listings of applications, and that tweak tool should be at the very bottom. Well, initially, when there's nothing else on the list. So you should have only 3 buttons there on your first general install. But anyway, here's the tweak tool here, which I already have active. And then this right here will have your listing of applications in the top left. That is right here, the applications menu. If I turn that off, what it does is when I click that, it pretty much has the exact same feature like when you press the Windows key. So for me, that was too much redundancy to have the basically the same action with the key and also with that button in the corner. So to change that, that's why I actually turned that on, and which capitalizes on the redundancy again. If you put your cursor in the top left of the screen, it does exactly the same thing. So you have 3 redundancies to do the same action, which doesn't make any sense to me. I could actually turn that hot corner off, but knowing that it's there, I've kind of trained myself not to bump the cursor in the corner to actually have that happen. So after a while, I just got used to it, and it doesn't bother me that much. But to have that, plus have the Windows key, plus have the button, it was too many redundancies. So that's why I changed that. I think last time I pronounced this wrong, calling it Phone, but it's Freon. Freon, which is what you call it? It's a component used to cool your air conditioning, I guess. So hence the name. This actually helps you to monitor your thermals in your system. Whatever sensors that is on your motherboard or with your CPU or with your GPU even. A lot of those sensors could be activated using that extension. So once you activate it, it's going to pop up here. So right here you can see the listings here for all of the components that it's actually reading. As far as the average and the maximum here, these are readings of my motherboard, the CPU, and I believe the PCI slot at the very top where the GPU is actually plugged in. That is this reading here, which you can see it's identical to the GPU reading that's reading at 43 Celsius. You could also go into settings here and make additional changes. Once you make those changes here, you could set it up so that it could be in Fahrenheit, read in Fahrenheit, not in Celsius. Once you make that change to whatever you're comfortable with as far as the way that the temperature scale is introduced here, that's up to you. Here where it says video card temperature utility, it has a listing here, the catalyst, which will be for AMD GPUs or APUs would be this one, the catalyst, and you actually have to install the proprietary driver in order to get that function to work, because if you use the open source driver, it doesn't connect to this utility, which will make it useless. The Bumblebee plus NVIDIA driver here is for those people who actually have those hybrid laptops that has an NVIDIA graphics chip alongside a NVIDIA graphics chip, so that it'll read both and give you an indication of the thermals of both of them. Or you could just select up here none. But let me reselect my NVIDIA. You could also have it read all the hard drives that you have on board. And I'm just gonna select this HDD temp. That's a hard drive temp. And you see it went away as far as the other temperatures that were shown underneath the graphics chip. So if I switch it back to, I'm gonna actually show you the utility for this. There's a secondary utility for that actually shows you how to indicate whether your hard drive have any faults in it, if there was any bad reads, if the hard drive is on the verge of failure, which an example of that is on one of my videos. I'm not going to say which ones, you're going to have to find out. But yeah, let me go ahead and show you the disk utility for that. I believe I have it here on, no, I actually took it off of the favorites list. But anyway, I could pull up that list of apps again, and that's it right here. This is the utility here that actually shows you actively what's going on with your hard drive. This is an old drive that I have on my computer here. I was in the process of transitioning files from one device to another because I have a 2 terabyte drive. But anyway, this is showing that I have 18 bad sectors here, and the hard drive is reading at 91 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 33 Celsius. That's not bad at all. As a matter of fact, that is cool. That is below human body temperature, basically. So if anything is below 98 Fahrenheit at idle or while being used, that's phenomenal, because this drive is actually being used as we speak. I actually have a few files. I transferred a couple of files earlier, and the thermals barely even budged. But anyway, this 500 gigabyte drive here, the disk is reading that it's okay, but let me see, how do I pull up the smart utility? Right here. You could pull up the smart utility right here. So once you click that, it actually gives you a more broad perspective of what errors may have transpired, or where the bad sectors are. It even gives you a listing of how many days, years, months, or minutes that the drive was actually in use total, which you can see here on the powered on listing right here. All right, that being said, I also have a DVD-ROM in here. That shouldn't show any issues, but yeah, that's that utility. Also with additional extensions, I put 1, 2, yeah, just those 2 extensions are the only ones that I actually added to the list of extensions that are here. And I also, this one that says removable drive, that was pre-installed. I turned that on because when I plug anything into the USB, which that noise that you're hearing is me pulling out some USB sticks, and I plug one into the USB port. If I could see the damn thing. Okay. Plug it into my USB port. Once it's red, it gives you a pop-up, and then up here in the top right, it shows you that you have a drive installed, and you could eject it from here so that you don't have to open your file folder and eject it. Plus you could open that said file there. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and eject that. That's not a part of the class right now. Alright, so Gnome being Gnome or Gnome, there's a slew of other things that you can install on your device, and I'm just going to show you guys another tweak. Let me reposition my panel because I don't like it being on the left. Well, it doesn't bug me that much to have it on the left, but you know, I just like to be able to customize my UI to my liking. Oh, plus, in addition to that, let me see, where is it? In the Windows? No, desktop. Okay. In the desktop listing here, again, in the previous video, you could actually select, like, wallpapers for multi-monitor setups. And in this mode drop down here, you could switch between what mode that you want for that wallpaper. Sometimes people zoom it in just to get a different artistic feel about the wallpaper, but if it's not a high-res wallpaper, it's going to look all blurry, blotchy, and choppy. So if you indeed have that issue, span it. And if you have 2 to 3 monitors, it will span the image across all 3 or 2 screens. I currently have 2 screens connected to my desktop. I unplugged my 55-inch television from it, because I have another desktop hooked up so that I could move from this desktop to that one to do part 2 of the lesson. So I have 3 desktops with full installs of Ubuntu Gnome, Zorin OS, what's the other one? Ubuntu Gnome, Zorin OS, and Linux Mint. So yeah. Anyway, what else am I going to show you guys? Oh yes, another question that I had actually just recently from a friend of mine. He asked, how do you change your passwords under Gnome, Zorin OS, the Gnome, Zorin OS, and Ubuntu Unity? The all settings interface is identical. So if you click where it says system settings or all settings, you'll have this little window pop up here that looks like this, which you could set up your Wacom tablet. You could set up your displays, which you can see right here. It indicates that I have 2 displays. I have a Dell and a Vizio display, and backgrounds or whatever, etc., etc. Also here for users that ask about how do I change my password. If you actually have a password already set and you want to change it, you could just click on that right there where it says users, double click, and if you have multiple users here, or if you have a guest session that you could run for other people that you don't want tampering with your machine, you could set that up. Up here you click unlock, you punch in your password, and once you punch your password in, then this off on button will be highlighted. Alright, now where it says automatic login, the reason why I have that off is that generally when I turn my machine off, I just want it to go straight to the desktop. I don't want to have to punch in a password. But generally, if you're installing Linux on a laptop, you could have it locked out with a password just like you do in Windows, and this is the way to actually have that done. Or during the general install of the operating system, you could do it there too. Alright, I'm not going to show the history of that. That's one. You can make adjustments to your mouse, how far fast or slow you want the cursor to move on the screen. If you're having lag or latency or anything have you could make changes here. Plus, if you're right-handed or left-handed, you change that to right-handed, and you know the way that the button clicks work, the right and your left click button, you know, will just change slightly so that you could adapt to it. So the left-handed setup is for right-handed people, and the right-handed setup is for left-handed people. So yeah, you could do that. What else do we have? Power settings here. This is generally something that is typically here for laptop users, and I believe in the default setting when you first open this up, it's set to 5 minutes. So I set it to never. And the reason being why I set it to never is because if you're in the middle of watching a video that's longer than 5 minutes, yeah, and finally that kicked in. If you watch something that's longer than 5 minutes, your screen will start to go dim, and actually the system will go to sleep. So that's where you actually deactivate that feature. So you could turn it off there. That's in Ubuntu Gnome. There's a power setting like this also in Unity, but there's 2 ways that you could shut that feature off in Unity. As far as the time of this video, which you can see up top in the middle of my screen here, that as of now, that's the situation with Ubuntu Gnome. Anyway, just to show you guys a few other things here, I have this software program that I've had in the past. It's called Sound Juicer. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what the hell is a Sound Juicer? Now, the Sound Juicer software program, and it gives you the ability to rip CDs off of the CD onto your computer. And maybe in a video number 2, I'm gonna actually show you guys how to do that as soon as I could find me a CD that I own that I could rip. I have my case around here somewhere. Don't feel like looking for it right now. But anyway, that's that. Now, Pithos as another little nugget for you guys.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Back again. That's right.
Anyway, let me stop that before they hit me for copyright infringement on this damn case too. But as you can see there, I clicked on the application and immediately music starts playing. This is actually a program that you could use in place of a Pandora application. This is Pandora for Linux, basically. It connects directly to your Pandora account. So if you have a series of radio stations that you already have listed on your system, you could actually have this program pull all of that stuff from your Pandora account into here. So if you're doing anything and you want to listen to music, you could listen to your music and have this on the side. Now, the sweet part is when one song changes to the other, it shows you it shows a pop-up with the title of the song and the artist and all that stuff. So it's a cool application to have on your desktop. And as another little nugget to that, I'm going to show you guys where you can locate the PPA and install it on your computer. So stand by for episode 2 so that I can show you guys how to do that. In part 3, I'm going to show you how to juice your CDs. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to show you how to juice your CDs in episode 3 or part 3. And in part 2, we're going to get the Pithos cracking. Alright? So stay tuned, you guys. I don't know if I missed anything here. Pretty much everything is generalized and simplified by the extensions that I showed you guys. And yeah, it could be modified to your likings with that tweak tool that I showed you. So just play around with your Linux. Don't be afraid of it. If you happen to break something, you got a disk that you could install it for free without any fret of, oh, I don't have the key to install this. No, screw the key. You have a key for your front door of your apartment. That's all you need to worry about. Not one on your godforsaken computer. Alright? It's your computer. Love your Linux. Love your Ubuntu. Love your Arch. Love your CentOS. Love your Red Hat. Alright, people? Peace out.